Russia has been taking an increasingly dominant role in Mideast politics in recent years. We'll be talking about that with Syria, but it's also stepping up its involvement in the Palestinian issue as well. The Kremlin announcing that Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh will visit Moscow in the coming weeks and could take part there in a summit with his rival Palestinian leader, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Now, today saw Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov hosting his Palestinian counterpart, Riyad al-Maliki, and he had this to say.
As for the Palestine issue, the Israeli-Palestinian issue, it's no secret to anyone that throughout the years, every administration in Washington was trying to look out for Israel's interests and considering Israel's stance in the matter.
Emily, and certainly with the U.S. decision to pull out of Syria, Russia, an increasingly dominant role in the Middle East, is it looking to step into the traditional U.S. shoes as a mediator in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
Yes, actually, the Palestinian Authority also released a statement from that meeting, and it actually alluded to that fact exactly. It said that the United States has absolved itself as being a mediator because it's no longer neutral, and it says that it is infringing upon international treaties that were already agreed upon. So thus it really paving the way for Russia to enter the stage. I spoke to a Russian consultant this week who consults on relations between the Middle East and Russia, and he essentially explained to me that intra-Palestinian reconciliation, which is what these talks are meant to do, is step A forward to future talks between Palestinians and Israelis. In other words, this could be the foot in the door for future talks and maybe even replace Trump's plan of putting forward his so-called deal of the century that the world awaits to be presented.
Now, Israel traditionally, and certainly the Netanyahu government specifically, has been very resistant to any outside player other than the United States stepping into that mediation role. I mean, Europe has tried, France has tried, and Israel's attitude has always been just stay out of it. This is really the U.S. role. But really, Jerusalem, the Netanyahu government, cannot brush off Russia quite so easily. Russia has some leverage here.
Yes, these two issues seem to be inversely coordinated. As the United States takes a step back and the Palestinian Authority decides that it's no longer speaking with the United States, cutting ties, reducing funds from UNRWA, etc., from the Trump administration. Well, on the other side, we see Russia asserting more control in the Middle East, and nowhere is that more apparent than today in Syria, when we saw this decision by the Trump administration to withdraw all those troops that are, all those U.S. troops that are in Syria. Well, now we could see a new Middle East in which Russia has even more leverage when it comes to the negotiating table than the United States. For instance, Russia is the one key player, the address that Israel can go to when it worries about Iranian entrenchment in Syria. What keeps Israel up at night is that Iranian-backed militias, very similar to Hezbollah, will assert their influence in Syria, and Israel will face a two-pronged offensive on its northern border. And when it feels like that danger is approaching, it can turn to Russia to try to curtail that influence. And now we might see it play even a bigger role in allowing Israel to feel more safe on its borders.
And certainly now we've seen Prime Minister Netanyahu make something like a dozen trips to meetings with Vladimir Putin, and now he may found about Syria, now also may have to deal with the Palestinian issue as well.